As you can see, many of these issues are becoming intertwined with each other. In this section, we are looking at the curriculum of your online program, your digital learning program. And remember that curriculum, along with technology and instruction, are really key components of your virtual program, of your online program. And it's really important to consider which type of program your organization is looking at, whether it is a blended type of program where students are actually in the school part of the time, or it is largely online where there's much interaction with the students in a traditional school setting. It's also important to reconsider this issue of what I refer to as the interaction triangle, with students having conversations with other students, although they might be through discussion boards like we're doing here in this academy, that they're working with content, and that there is also student-teacher interaction as well. Those are very, very, very important. So in consideration of this target audience, who you might be working with, whether it's a credit recovery program, ELL, special education, homeschooling, where students can't make it in perhaps because they are medically fragile or have some other reason to be out of school. And recalling some of the survey information that says a large number are using this for credit, online courses in particular, for credit recovery. Now, going back to the Margaret Roblier research, who says who can be successful in fully online courses, and that's why there's a challenge with really the completion record of credit recovery students, is that students who can really do well in school are the more likely candidates for less interaction in a brick and mortar setting, whereas your struggling students more likely you want to have them close by. Now, Roblier has a survey, the ESPRI survey. It's referred to as the probability of passing. That's the score that it gives. And she surveys attitudes and combines that with the student's GPA. And that gives then a prediction, what she calls a probability of passing, a POP score. And she claims a very high reliability. And there are about very high level of reliability in this, in passing an online course. So it's highly weighted on the student's GPA, and she's claiming lots of success in predicting students who are able to pass online courses. It is important to reflect back that a one-to-one program where students are in a classroom between bells, that is likely not a blended program. A technology-rich program is usually not a blended program. It requires more than students having some independent time. Now, in looking at courses and looking at content, in an instructional design mode, we really look at three levels. The first thing that we want to do is to find something of high quality that is inexpensive as possible. Perhaps we can borrow it, perhaps we can steal it, or the next level is to buy it, because then it becomes more expensive when we have to put out funding for that. And the most expensive and the least desirable way to get curriculum materials is to build it from scratch yourself. In those developmental issues, of course, you have to have proficiencies in these local curriculum issues, now leaning toward Common Core. It's significant for NCAA approval, and just to have the technical know-how to make the courses work technically, being able to have those abilities to work in the learning management system, to have instructional design capabilities within a staff, someone or a group of people who can align these with curriculum practices and course alignment. This is a very significant initiative when you're building your own content. So the least desirable way is to build that own content yourselves. The most desirable is to try to find something that is free or nearly free, with the purchasing content then in the middle of the desire steps. Open educational resources is one of the free or nearly free resources or sources for content. And organizations, sometimes working with grant money, sometimes universities putting out coursework, although that coursework is not necessarily the most desirable for the adolescent mind or the young mind to be able to use that well. But Open Educational Resources, OER, there is some very good high quality content out there that is available for us to use and put that into our courseware, our learning management system. The idea here is the price is very inexpensive or free. It is available for use. Individuals, organizations share their content. So it is called Creative Commons licensing versus copyrights, where those copyrights are purchased. It's able to reuse that content, to remix it, to add your own content to it for local issues, and then even able to reshare that as well. So open educational resources are very, very valuable. And a couple of those are the National Repository for Online Courses and ck12.com. This Creative Commons license is very significant. And within the course itself, there is a link to an NROC course for government that will give you the idea of the quality. It's a one little piece, a module that's referred to as a learning object, a little module about government that you might pull into a course about government that is online. So there's a Creative Commons license to be able to use that. So the open educational resources are a great way to use this content, to put it together, to remix it, to add your own content to it, add it to your own learning management system. It is sort of a quasi build yourself free direction, unless you can get an entire course like an NROC course and then mildly supplement it with some of your own local materials. So OER can be just a module, a learning object that has audio and video and text in it. It can be a lecture. It can be a video lecture. It can be images. It can be a collection of journal articles, as well as many, many other things, even textbooks that are there. The local individual who is here is Phil Lacey from District 219 Niles Township. He is our local OER expert, and in the course wiki we have a link to his page where he categorizes and collects information about OER. So the necessary step there is really to align the OER content to the local content and your local requirements. Here is the link to Phil's page, his OER page, and again, it is linked in the course wiki should you want to keep track of what he is doing. Now, we have a whole variety of content providers, and also with their learning management systems as well. So you get not only content, you get learning management systems. None of these that I'm aware of allow you actually to take their content and pull it into your own learning management system. They want you to use their content and their learning management system, which has some very good analytics in it, as well as their content is very high quality too. Some of these companies cost them $250,000 or so to make courses that has audio and video in it. They have a team of individuals who are instructional designers who are technically adept to put this content together and to make high quality courses. And so again, it's important that the district goes through an alignment with local curriculum, and even from providers. Not all courses are of equal quality. So you might get a course from one company or another, whereas say a math course, but a science course you might get from a different provider. And from that alignment to local curriculum requirements, you might find some gaps which you might fill with OER content, or you might fill with local materials that you would generate. So the idea here is that if you can buy a course that has 80% of the content that you would want to use in your school district, that you would use that content and then supplement it. So building 20% or getting OER content and aligning it for 20% of the course is much easier than building 100% of the course to meet your local curriculum requirements. And many of these courses, these companies allow you to, in your part of the learning management system, to put your course content so that you can make truly a course out of this along with them. And of course, another option here is the Illinois Virtual School. The Illinois Virtual School is your state-supported program. They provide courses, they provide teachers with a whole variety of content from grades 5 to 12, as well as professional development. So this is your local state-funded, taxpayer-funded sources. They have school courses. They have over 100 courses, including AP electives, and of course middle school, and they satisfy all of the licensing requirements that we have to for them to interact with our students, as well as they are approved by their core courses are approved by NCAA and the College Board. And once the student completes the course, then a letter is sent back to the school or a certificate indicating that the student passed the course and IVS's grade that the district can then either accept or modify appropriately to put into a high school transcript or to accept for moving a student on. One of the big questions is about quality, and quality is an issue that is in online courses, and in many cases it's associated with rigor, the understanding, the depth of the course, and there are certainly some quality issues here. So we stopped using the word rigor because some faculty think that it means a flogging, or it's like a SEAL training program, that we have washouts, that we are definitely here to wash students out, as opposed to in a competency-based system that we want to make sure that even with more time, students can succeed. Now, INACOL has some quality standards for online teaching, and these online quality standards also work back here in the curriculum piece as well. And so by getting this publication, it's possible then to consider some of these quality issues that you want to enforce. It doesn't mean you necessarily want to enforce all of these in your program. But one of the quality issues around instruction, but curriculum-wise, is that the instructor knows about effective online instruction, a quality standard, that there's a range of technologies that individuals know about, because this can really influence the curriculum to make sure that quality is there and that students are having high learning and having a high engagement in the course, and that there are effective strategies, which is part of instruction, but it's also part of that planning too, and part of that professional development as we get into that part of the program. The idea of curriculum, of setting high expectations for students in courses, prompt answers, and it's also part of the instruction piece, as well. And the idea that we have in lots of technology use these days is about ethical use, plagiarism, and the like. And we have the need in the courses to recognize the diversity that students have. Perhaps it's in academic needs. Perhaps it's in the different avenues that we provide for students in the course. Part of that curriculum, part of that idea is the student is a struggling reader. They could use video, or they could use audio and text, so they could have a read-along, so the student could read along with the text in the course, so that we have a variety of curriculum options and a variety of learning avenues in our course. And of course, assessments, as part of the curriculum, assessments are very, very important to make sure that we have assessments that are on target, that we are assessing what students should be learning, and that we have ways to bring validity into that. The standards that we have now is that we make sure we have this aligned. So it's not only the online teacher does these things for alignment, but it's part of the whole initiative that the leader of this program is making sure that we are aligning all of our curriculum and projects and assignments with our assessments. Part of what we want to do with curriculum here, part of the curriculum is some of the high analytic learning management systems that are in vendors' systems give you very accurate data as to students' interaction with the content, how long they're spending in the content, how long they are in assessments, whether they're zipping through assessments, zipping through the content, that allows teachers then to come back and appropriately address the students. Part of this plan for learning as well is really part of a professional disposition, but it's also really part of this curriculum. That part of this curriculum is that we have outstanding communication means with our students, whether it's through video conferencing, through telephone, or through face-to-face. And connecting back in again is with this media, with audio and video and text that allows teachers and students to have effective instruction and effective learning, which comes back to our interaction triangle, where we have students being able to communicate with students. The student-to-teacher interaction is very, very strong, and the teacher content knowledge is very, very high. So it's very significant that your instructors know your courses in and out. If they develop them, they usually know them pretty well because they've developed the content. The purchased or the OER content, it's important that with this type of content, that the teacher really knows it well, and that usually means going through it a time or two, taking the quizzes, making sure there's time for that interaction so teachers know that content backward and forward. As I have looked at organizations and listened to their presentations, I've found what I call promising practices are really quality issues too. They're quality issues, but we're calling them promising practices because we're finding that organizations, that programs that have these kinds of features in their courses claim lots and lots of success, where students are completing, they're getting high assessment grades, they're coming out with high competencies, they're coming out with high mastery. So that first thing is to have that course, and that's really what this is about: finding a course that delivers these quality needs. One way to really start getting your faculty and your organization to think that this is a good idea is to start using the same course outlines, using those same course outlines that you would use face-to-face, use them and make that alignment occur through your online program. Use the major assessments that you use face-to-face. Use the same final exam that you use. That way you can see a close correlation or dissimilar practice in the online program, whether the students are coming out with the same knowledge that students taking the course face-to-face. This will give you lots of credibility if you can demonstrate how well your students are doing by using the same assessments, the same course outlines, the same examinations that you would be using face-to-face. Another one is to ensure that you have integrity of your assessments and your exams, and one way to do that is proctor them. In other words, have students come in to take the examinations. Don't give them online. Have the students come in, whether you have a testing center or students somehow meet with an adult who oversees the administration of the assessment or the exam. That is certainly a way to make sure that the student who says they're taking the course online is the student who is really taking the test. And so the correlation of those two together, that student then allows you to verify that you have a good opportunity. Like we're doing in this academy, we're having some virtual sessions. We're session 1 and session 8. We're meeting. We have a chance to have some conversation, to ask questions, for the instructor to query the students as to what they are doing. So live interaction is where the teacher-student interaction can take place as a group. So requiring this interactivity, such as with discussion boards that we are having here, that's merely one way to require some interactivity where individuals' ideas get pushed back and forth, and there's interactivity with the teachers. And one way to make this happen between teacher and student is to have required weekly purposeful communication. It doesn't have to be necessarily in a video conferencing setting. It could be mainly through an email where the teacher gives the student some feedback, a pep talk, Or it could be a face-to-face session where a student's not doing very well. It could be through video conferencing, where there's a conference between teacher and student, so the teacher can address issues that they are seeing and address questions the student may have. One way also to do this is to have oral examinations. It may not necessarily be every student has the same oral exam, but during the course of several weeks, during a scheduled period, a teacher in a video conferencing classroom or face-to-face has a student come in, and the teacher can give that student an oral quiz. If it's a math problem in a video conferencing setting, they can turn over the software to the student and say, okay, I want you to work out this math problem. And the student can work out the math problem and explain it as they work it out in a video conferencing session. It could be a set of study questions where the student is using the study questions to respond to a discussion with the teacher. So there are ways to do that. It doesn't necessarily have to be over every chapter, but it gives you an indication for the teacher to check for understanding, check for interactivity, check for engagement, to check for quality, to make sure that student is the one who is participating, as well as do that check for understanding. And one of those pieces as well is to, for those, if you have a gifted program, an accelerated program, is to make sure that there are special problems to challenge the high ends of those students. Another interesting, promising practice that I see from organizations that are successful in this endeavor is to have regular formative assessments. They could be conducted internally every grading period, every year. It's sort of a state of the online program, a state of the digital learning program that looks at the state of the program versus the goals and gives any suggestions for individuals who give suggestions for anything that might need to be improved as it moves along. And then sometime down the road, having some outside reviewers come in and take a look. NCAA. Very briefly, there are some slides here about the NCAA and the Eligibility Center for high school students who are Division I or Division II prospects. NCAA has become very involved in this. They have what they call an Eligibility Center. They have the ability to review your courses. They do review the face-to-face courses, and they want to make sure they review any online courses that you have, because in a high school catalog, those online courses would have a different course number and show up on the transcript as an online course, not a face-to-face course. And really, they are looking at core courses: English, math, science, social studies. Foreign language would also be in those core courses. So they review this. They have a couple of questionnaires where they review this. They look at the curriculum delivery. They look at the quality issues that we're talking about here, and the transcripts. They're really concerned about the non-traditional coursework that prospective student athletes are taking. Some of the non-core courses that you don't have to worry about to get NCAA approval on, but they are significant, of course, to have the standard quality issues: consumer education, personal finance, resume writing, fundamentals of algebra. The not-so-easy courses are the film study courses, and some of the other, what we might be using as developmental courses to help get our students remediated into our regular programs. Those go by course, but your film study courses that are studying film and not necessarily the literature around the film, they have a recent history of not approving those kinds of courses. So they actually have legislation for online courses that requires student-teacher interaction and access, that teachers are physically evaluating the course, that it is for a defined period of time. In other words, the course is offered for the student between second semester for these students. There's a definite time period for them. It kind of works against our issues of competency, but there is a time. So the student took this course over a semester or a year. The student work must be available, so you have to be able to get it out of your learning management system should there be an audit of any kind. And so they are seeing trends in online learning, and they have they have very close watch over NCAA related issues over students who are taking online courses. And they have some, just as a note here, they have some issues behind this. They have some fraudulent issues that are going on with athletes taking non-traditional courses to get quick fixes to be able to be eligible to get into an NCAA program. So as we get back to our curriculum issues and our instructional issues being around the students, around student interaction, teacher-student interaction, it's a quality issue, but for me as a person in this field, I thought that this was important long before we had NCAA review over these courses, is that we have teacher-to-student interaction. We have student-to-student interaction when possible in courses that allow us to have easily student-to-student interaction. And that we have some high-quality content built around essential understandings, course goals, and that we learn from student insights where we can improve their courses. So a high-quality program, curriculum, not only includes the course itself and the way that students see it, whether it happens to be self-built by the district, whether it happens to be free or nearly free through open educational resources, or it happens to be purchased. Then, along with some issues of student-teacher interaction, protection of the integrity of your examinations, and making sure that communication is very, very strong with a group of students, as well as progress for individual students, you can have and develop a very successful and high quality, high engaging course for your students where they can come out with high knowledge, high competencies in what we're trying to do with them.